Hey there, Work Positive Nation. I'm Dr. Joey with some exciting news that will transform you and your organization. You know what I hear all the time? Dr. Joey, I'm trying to build a positive work culture, but I feel like I'm doing it all alone. Sound familiar? I'm sure it does. Well, here's the thing. You don't have to go it alone anymore. Registration is now open for the Stage 1 Work Positive Culture Mastermind community. This is more than just another program. You get SHRM certified training from me, quarterly live calls with me, monthly Q&A videos of me, and one of my short books every month. And most importantly, a personal connection with an amazing community of work positive culture champions. And here's what gets me really excited. Our members see on average a 30% increase in productivity, 28% growth in revenue, and a 19% jump in operating income. That's real transformation that your CEO and CFO can get behind, right? For a limited time, you can join at our founder's rate of just $37 a month, and that's your lifetime rate. But look, here's the catch. We only open registration for this community twice a year. This is the only time the founder's rate will ever be available. So register now at the link below. Hey, I know the struggle to create a positive work culture is real. Stop going it alone. Create the positive work culture you've always dreamed of with all the help you'll ever need starting right now. Register at workpositive.today/stage1 right now. I'm so excited to work positive with you. I'm Dr. Joey Fawcett.
When we have a heterogeneous, that's the longest word we're going to hear today, a mixed audience, then really, you might as well just be yourself and be as authentic as you can.
How does your work culture support team members in their growth journey from where they are to move forward to a preferred future, to grow the company's profits by flipping limiting beliefs, taking the I could never and transforming it into watch me do it now? I'm Dr. Joey Fawcett, coaching you to grow people and profits through a positive work positive culture. My guest on this episode of the Work Positive Podcast has done just this in corporate boardrooms, global classrooms, and stand-up comedy stages. And he does it all with a rare blend of wit, warmth, and wisdom. He's a leadership trainer, intercultural facilitator, and presentation coach who helps executives, emerging leaders, and teams unlock the confidence, the clarity, and their impact, whether they're pitching, presenting, or navigating high-stakes conversations. So lean in, get ready to laugh and learn, and let's move forward into a positive work culture together on this episode of the Work Positive Podcast. Work Positive Nation, are you ready to learn, laugh, and so let's lean in a little bit because Matthew Hill is in the Work Positive house. Welcome, Matthew Hill.
Fabulous to be here, Joey. Fabulous to be here.
You came back to London from Italy just to do this podcast. And so
I did. I knocked on the pilot's door. I said, as fast as you can, mate.
Yeah, get us back for Dr. Joey's podcast. I appreciate that. And you left buildings that have been around longer than either of us have been alive. So that was pretty incredible too, right? So you are an amazing person. Work Positive Nation, we've got a link to his favorite book out of 10 that he's written. The other 9 books are insanely jealous now, but I've said it out loud anyway. Learn How to Lead. So if you want to, just while you're listening to this podcast, go down and click in the show notes and go over and get your copy so that you can be reading that as quickly as possible. Matthew Hill, every superhero, which obviously you are, has an origin story. Who told you you were funny somewhere along the way?
Yes, probably my mother, and she might have been telling the truth or may not. There we go. And it's funny you should mention that. I have returned to the London stage. Don't get overexcited. There's nothing on YouTube just yet. But it's all good. 30 years later and appearing with my wife. She goes on first to warm them up. I go on second. Just open mics at the moment, downtown London, if you happen to be there. There you go. There you go.
So is it true that instead of TEDx, comedians are on FredX? Is that right?
Very good. Very good. Very good. It's all crazy.
Yeah.
So if you're going if you can't get your friends to laugh, who can you? Who can you? Who
Oh, I
can
know. Isn't that the truth? So was your wife the first one to tell you you're funny and you believed her, and so you started doing stand-up comedy, or did
If you
someone else?
really want to go there, if you really want to go there, I had been elected as president of a charity and I made a speech
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't all bad. And one woman was going towards the front, but she couldn't get close. And so I went out to the president's dinner. You're going to be amazed by this. This is Granada, Spain, the Alhambra Gardens, which were as old as some places in Ravenna, where I was yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And she came up to me later and she had a complaint about the charity. And that's how she started. And that's how I met her. Is that a good origin story for a relationship? I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
So you married the woman who came to you with a complaint? Is that
I
how?
married a complaining woman, and it's the best thing I ever did.
I'm just not going there. You're on your own with that, man. So your mom told you that you were funny, and you actually believed her, and so you began using humor. When did you begin using humor to help corporate executives? For instance, one of the things in your bio that I loved was you said
Yeah,
you
let's let's
to
let's
help
let's get it back down
CEOs
to
not be
earth.
boring, right?
Very good, very good. So
Yeah.
here we go. I was in the headquarters, the shared services place in London, and everyone else was in the field for this rapidly expanding organization that were just opening up a new country every month. And
Mm.
I realized the resources were not on me, the resources were getting shipped out. So I thought, where should I go? I was offered India, Lebanon, or the Czech Republic. Our viewers may not know, our listeners may not know where the Czech Republic is. Central Europe,
Okay.
just beyond Western Europe, which you do know. And so I went to the Czech Republic, which was like the land that time forgot. I made my home there. I met Margaret Thatcher, all the president, Václav Havel. I met all the Czech prime ministers. I found myself there. I led a team who could then earn their own salaries and seemed grateful occasionally. It
Mm.
was the crossover between the Soviet and capitalism. It was an extraordinary time.
Oh,
Some of
wow.
those guys are still in contact. They're still my friends. So
Mm.
that was my kicker to my career. Arrogantly, I thought I understood Czech people. And then I became something of an interculturalist, but I was also a leader and a communicator, using occasionally humor. Czech humor is quite reasonably similar to British humor. So dry, cynical, bit of slapstick, quite pessimistic. Great, great fun, great fun. So their pessimism and humor was really asking a question, are you for real? The vision, the mission, the purpose. Are you for real? And so they'd ask that through humor or cynicism or pessimism every
Uh,
day. So it
uh,
was a great learning. It was a great learning. It wasn't the worst question ever. I mean, Americans might put it more positively, but it's still a decent question.
yeah,
So I came back and was doing all of that. And then I moved into this intercultural space, doing intercultural relocation for various executives moving to Central Europe or coming to the UK. I still do quite a lot of that. So my starter for any UK cultural briefing, and I've done ambassadors, I've done chief executives, I've done teams,
mhm.
is listen up, folks. This is the only time a Brit will be telling you the truth. And we go from there. We go from there. A Chinese woman at a very serious automotive company said, I can't believe you say that about your country. I would never be allowed. That was true. That was true. And then we branched out into leadership training, facilitation, all of that stuff, which has been a fantastic career. It's been a privilege to do. And again, it's been filling that gap of, what do people need? What do people not getting taught? What is the essence? And with silly stories and lots of humor, infotainment, we get past their embarrassment. No one likes role play, but you can make it funny. And people take away extraordinary skills. So that's that. And then one specific thing, sort of presentation skills, so putting together the humor and the leadership. So communicating in a more beautiful and clearer way. I'm not doing it now, but I can do it if I'm paid enough.
Somebody told you you did it once, and now you teach everybody else how to do it. What are some of the keys to intercultural connections and how to make those connections in ways that are effective. Because it's a global economy now. I mean,
Tell you.
we have people, clients all over the world. I remember the first time I took on a client from Africa, I was scared to death I was going to say something. I mean, I'm from the South in the US. We say stuff all the time. We just open our mouths and things roll out. Nobody understands us. Everybody laughs at us. So, I was scared to death I was going to say something to offend someone and not even know it. But what are some of the keys that we need to bear in mind in our intercultural connections?
Well, there's a wonderful, I'll get straight into an exercise, listening for values. Most people, most of the time, are not listening. They're competing or ignoring. Sometimes people might listen to steal. Oh, what do I need? Oh, what do I want? Oh, that's interesting for me. And then that next level up is listening for values. What's driving this other person?
Mm,
And that becomes a beautiful activity. Anyone can do it within the family at supper tonight, listening for values, drivers, likes, dislikes. I think that's where you're going, the dislikes and the offense. And here we go.
mhm.
Some funny stories come out of that. There was someone from Niger in Paris, and we talked about eye contact. There's three types of eye contact: constant eye contact, will you burn someone's retinas with your direct gaze? Intermittent British, humble, part-time eye contact, or total avoidance.
Mm.
And we said in Niger, he said, if I looked at my father for more than 3 seconds continuously, he'd probably get up and give me a smack because that would be a power move. My
Mm.
Danish pal, I'll go for a drink of shandy with them at the pub, and this guy will never let your gaze go. It's absolutely exhausting. You think, how can I break this? When's the fire
Yeah,
alarm going to
stop
go off?
staring at me.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. So cultural nuances, you can read about it. You can take one of my courses. You can do whatever you like, but you're the guest. You're the guest in this house, which is another country, another culture. So do as they do, fake it till you make it, be flexible and style switch by 15%, and also tell your own stories. Tell your funny Southern ways or whatever it is. In my country, and see what happens. Well, don't do that here. And together you can have such fun learning the magical ways, but also is quite fun to pretend you don't know and do some stuff as well. It's that's quite interesting. That's quite
Yeah,
interesting.
I get by with a lot of ignorance, even if it's feigned ignorance. Oh, really?
Yeah.
You just
Keep
gotta,
dumb to get wise. Great phrase.
yeah, absolutely it is. So with companies now global and doing work globally, we find ourselves intersecting with so many cultures. And yet we want to create an attractive culture that is one in which we work positive. At least we Americans want to work positive. Um, right? There may be some work negative people who would love that in the Czech Republic, right? But yes, we work negative. Please come work for us. How do we go about ensuring that we work positive across the board in all of these different countries?
Very good. I think it is a synthesis of people's values.
Okay.
And, if you've got a homogenous group with presenting or working or launching or persuading, it's not about you, it's about the audience.
Mm,
So again, we reverse the guest idea.
yes.
And so speak to the audience and speak to their values is one idea. When we have a heterogeneous, that's the longest word we're going to hear today, a mixed audience, then really you might as well just be yourself and be as
Ah,
authentic as you can. I think a bit of honesty, a bit of vulnerability goes a long way.
hmm.
Well, I was in Saudi Arabia and I was, there were consequences for making a mess. I just went totally humble. Guys, I'm probably going to get it wrong. Please tell me quickly. Please tell me quickly when I'm going to get it wrong. So, from an etiquette perspective, that was quite a useful thing. The kindness I was shown there,
Mm.
it was about 130 degrees outside,
Ooh,
all that sort of stuff. And people just helped me and helped me. It was during Ramadan, and
ah,
food was in scarce supply. Kindness is great, but it's really a higher purpose relating to something which is really going to help the global customer,
Mm.
The product or service, how can it be adapted locally? There's no one product or service that fits all. That doesn't really happen. Just being open to the various ideas.
Mm.
People can think in a details first before action way, or an action way before details later, or measure it later. People can be direct and offensive. They can be indirect and confusing. And so there's a cost and there's a benefit to every behavior you can name. So it's being aware of that. But I quite like going on a journey, everyone together, and really filling in the boxes of what is working and what is not working. So it's about negotiation. What I like, what works for me, what works for you. So
Mm.
negotiation, storytelling by the campfire, by a cup of coffee in the canteen, that can be powerful. And by the end, you've had some good times. You've done some listening. You've done some bonding. So you've combined intercultural sensitivity with networking, with an exchange of people's views about processes and about people, and you've got there. You've got there. So,
Mm.
but it's not. It's also not. I do a lot of work with various military organizations. It's not go in and. It is about shutting up, listening, taking a bit of time. So,
Mm.
like a German tailor, we measure twice, so we only have to cut once.
Ah, I love it. I love it. The theme I hear you talking so much about here, Matthew, is it's not about me. It's about the person whom I'm there to serve and actively listening and then choosing my words in such a way that she or he may understand in the way that's easiest for them. That really creates an attractive culture. So, how do I then take that attractive, positive culture and interpret that for top talent that I'm seeking to attract to our company who may be, a little confused or timid around the multicultural aspect of our large
Yeah,
conglomerate?
yeah. No, I love it. And when I tell you, with top talent, I'm going to say something shocking, and people get confused or even a bit disappointed. I think the most disappointing day for a lot of high potential people is their first day at work
Mm.
because the job description they are given is so small.
Mhm.
Is that the only part of me you are going to be using?
Mm.
Ah,
Yeah.
so I go the other way and say, how much of a highly talented person can we use? How
Mm.
much can we engage? So that's the idea.
Mm.
Um, so if we have a purpose, if we allow people a freedom and a broader range to create also some of their own space and job description or KPIs and measures and so forth, and that's something.
Mhm.
And then the measure of that is their activity. Is their activity creative, innovative, problem solving? Are they articulating a new point of view? That to me is the measure of excitement, engagement, positive work culture, and lots of different things. So I think there's a sort of a combination. Recruit the whole person,
Mm.
give them enough freedom to demonstrate something amazing,
Mm.
have a measure of what is amazing or what is new, what is fresh, and then just check in and see where you are. And it's going to be better than the Charlie Chaplin film. You're bashing the widgets, which is not the way to go. Not with the top talent. Not with the top talent.
Not with top talent. I'm working on a book that will publish this fall called Becoming at Work. And that's the very genius of this whole notion of becoming. Why capture just 10% of an individual's abilities? Why not create, in some ways, a carte blanche? Of course, we all need metrics by which to
Yeah,
measure the
yeah,
work and the productivity and efficiencies. I need a goal so I know what target
yeah.
to aim at. But why not discover their aspirations? Let's discover their dreams. What would you like to create? What are your personal interests and hobbies? And how can that purpose merge with the purpose here so that you develop professionally and personally on the job? That's a culture that attracts top talent. Yes.
And something to push against a real problem, a larger problem.
Mm.
Do you know the exercise? You say, I've got a 6 foot wall. How do you get across it? You get a group of people and they'll do some pretty average work. If you say, it's not, sorry, I got that wrong. It's not 6 foot, 60 foot. They will try harder, they will try longer, they will put more energy in. You will get much better answers. It will blow your mind. And then you ask a fairly cynical question, guys, why didn't you bring it for the 6 foot wall?
Ah,
Amazing, amazing. So sometimes it's it's a bigger problem. It's crisis like collaboration. It is a challenge that
mm.
can also unify and align people with some bigger thing.
Yeah, and particularly when we are all looking, at least today in the workforce, we're all looking to associate ourselves with a cause greater than our own. We want to be a part of some noblesse oblige, something that's just huge so that we can have a greater impact with our lives and maximize our time here.
Absolutely. The idea. No, was that there's quite a funny joke, isn't it? The if you study what you love, you'll never work a day in your life because no one will employ you. That was a cynical joke, but there we are.
That's British humor.
That's British humor for you. That's what you're paying for, people. That's what you're paying for. Very good. No, exactly. So it's no the calling, the cause, but also we can. There's the bigger thing, but there's also the multiple. The
Mm.
am I physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually doing something? Am I networking? Am I learning from multiple people in multiple disciplines on a daily basis? Again, getting away from this sort of wedge. That's your job. 40 years. Here's your lunch pail.
Yeah.
We can develop in a broader sphere.
And I love that cross-disciplinary approach because it allows you to discover, well, some more of what you like, or something you like that you didn't know you liked, or something that you really don't like. And so you won't ever study that a day in your life because you want to be employed, right? So once we get the top talent on the team and we're challenging them in the ways that we're talking about here, you said the first day is the worst day, right? How do we make sure that it's not just the first day is the best day, but all the subsequent days so they stay on our team?
Yeah. I think a culture, I used to run a charity, and it was no man is alone, no person is alone here. So, a culture of inclusion, that's the canteen, that's asking for help, that's other things. So, just human warmth, bodies together, COVID notwithstanding, that can be really powerful. I think a network and knowing you've got colleagues, hopefully they're all high potentials and all that sort of stuff, and
Mm.
that can be beautiful. And also throwing some people. I love it. A new employer, a new employee. There's the induction process. What do you think? We've been doing this for 40 years. We can't see it. What are we doing here? Tell us. Are we doing it right? I did a lot of work in Turkey, and they would always start with something like that. What do you think of Turkey? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? It was just well, how
Oh,
should we how should we make our coffee today?
oh,
It was an
casual
it,
conversations. They're engaging you to get that fresh perspective.
freshman, and it was made you. They were lowering their own power with a bit of vulnerability, which made you feel better and gave you just
Mm.
a little bit more confidence, and you had permission to speak. It was very clever. So it was diplomatic and warm
Mm.
and multifunctional. They were literally looking for the feedback and the hard truth, and sometimes you gave it, but they were encouraging you to join.
Mm.
Very clever, very
Mm.
clever.
I would say so. That's a great example of psychological safety as well. And
Yeah,
in a proactive sense too.
yeah,
We care enough, we see you, we hear you, we want to learn from you. And so you're just setting that table with the banquet feast already prepared. You don't have to earn it.
yeah.
You just pull up to the table and sit down and enjoy. That's an amazing example. Let me ask you a question. What if the key to growing your work culture hides in plain sight? Take the free Work Positive Culture Assessment to discover it. Get insights in less than 4 minutes that transform your culture so you grow people and profits. You just answer 13 simple questions and discover your culture stage, strengths, and personalized next steps. Get your free aha culture moment at workpositive.today. Go to workpositive.today right now. Matthew Hill is my guest on this episode of the Work Positive Podcast. While you're listening, his LinkedIn profile URL is in the show notes. Go there, send him a message, ask him what his favorite Matthew Hill joke is. By the way, there's 63 Matthew Hills on LinkedIn, so we hope we got the right one. If we didn't, just message me and I'll make sure we get you to the right one. Matthew, what are some of the challenges you see in positive work cultures today in terms of creating this kind of culture that is psychologically safe and inviting and warm, if I can call it that? I know some people may say, Joey, you're talking to a British guy. Warmth, that shouldn't be used in the same sentence, but anyway. But warmth and wit. What are some of the challenges keeping us from creating that kind of culture?
Okay, without throwing a large spanner in the works, a hammer in the factory floor, people's people are so polar these days. Let's not get into particular polarities because everyone,
Right.
here we go. But the breakdown of discussion, which this is my latest passion,
Mm.
is finding people who think I'm, on the left or on the right or a plus 10 or a minus 10,
Ah.
and then just talking with them. I've worked with some pretty, what we might call them extreme people. Some woman the other said, I am plus 100. I thought, okay, okay.
Okay, sweetheart.
So
Thank you.
so, I mean, how do you notice this? People on the hot topics, the headlines, are not open for discussion.
Oh no,
They have their channel, which just reinforces what they're already
an
thinking.
echo chamber, right?
The
Mhm.
echo chamber, the group think, the tribal, the fear, the disgust with meeting someone outside your own tribe, which goes
Mm.
totally against the global, goes totally against the multicultural, the multi-ethnic.
Mm.
And so I'm trying to bring back this extinct form of communication called discussion.
Extinct form of communication. That's a great way of describing it because we're going back to, with me, it was that first blush with African executives. And I'm from the South in the US, and so I'm going to say something stupid or offensive. It's really easy to say something offensive today. So how do
Yeah,
we
yeah.
how do we begin to sometimes I just by showing up and opening my mouth, oh well, he's got to be ignorant. He's from the South in the US, right? How do we overcome and really freshen up and use again this extinct form of communication that's
Right, yep,
based in civility and respect and
totally,
how do we
totally,
do
totally.
that?
Well, the separation of individual and topic is one thing, which is hard to achieve.
Hmm.
Go ignorant to get wise. Tell me more about climate change or aliens or flat Earth or whatever. Just interview with a slightly, slightly reduced IQ, just 5% reduced IQ look,
Hmm.
and take a few notes. And you will get that person. And again, we listen for values and drivers, and therefore we can break through.
Hmm.
And then here's a trick which I love, which is Socratic. I didn't invent it. It's 2,500 years old.
Right.
I want something modern on my podcast. I'm not listening to that.
Is there anything new? I mean, we're
Is
just
there anything new?
repackaging, right?
Well, that's the joke, isn't it? So you copy
Mhm.
one guy, it's plagiarism. You copy 10 people, it's research. The the
Absolutely.
idea is, hey, what would someone on the other side be talking about?
Mm.
What would with a really quite stupid look on your face? What would they believe?
Mm.
And getting someone into the empathic space, and we're off. And
Mm.
it's great fun. And then conceding the points which are made, which is a critical but not competing, but
Mm.
conceding a point or two. So you're warming up, you're warming up, you're warming up.
Mm.
And I did a gig in Poland where we did the Socratic method with a we got two people. I won't mention the conflict, but two people on different sides of a conflict who were, they were struggling just to be in the same room. We got them having a conversation. It was the most beautiful thing. It was the
Mm.
most beautiful thing. And it was these simple methods which anyone could find on the web. Um, what would convince you to join the other side and some of their beliefs or attitudes? And then,
Mm.
there's a space there. Well,
Right.
they'd have to
Right.
produce this piece of evidence. Right. Here we go.
Okay.
We've started.
That's
Yeah.
a step in the right direction anyway. But if we can lower the noise or just turn down the volume in the echo chamber a bit and find the common human elements
Totally.
in our conversation, then it seems to me that I can get to know you and you can get to know me. And when
Yeah.
it becomes personalized and individual like that, somehow these global perspectives on issues which may or may not be painted accurately pale. And now it's Matthew and Joey having a conversation.
Totally, totally. And I love, you could have something, it could be about your favorite comedian or, I
Mhm.
don't know, chicken versus beef. It doesn't matter. You can have something that people,
Pork.
but there you go. There you go. That's controversial. There you go. Yeah. And you can respect the person and just really enjoy it. Just
Yeah.
really enjoy it. In Italy, we were with some people. To be fair, we sort of agreed about more than we disagreed. And it was about epidemiology and biology and statistics. And we had this extraordinary idea. And I could throw in a fairly provocative comment. We had the personal trust and the professionalism to go, okay, Matthew. And this guy would stop and work through the gears. And we got to where we had to go. And he was like, this is wonderful. This is an Oxbridge seminar, an Oxford University seminar for free in an Italian garden. Very nice. Very nice.
Mm, I love it. Well, again, it goes back to that core value that you started this conversation with, Matthew, and that is I'm taking a back seat
Yeah.
and I'm coming from a place of open inquiry
Yeah.
and creating the psychologically safe space wherein I'm inviting you to step up and tell me what you really think.
Yeah. And I mean, I did a hostage course. I was receiving, not giving, the other day, and the cliche they
Glad
started
you got
was,
out of
how did you talk him down or whatever?
that. Uh-huh.
And the guy didn't talk him down. I listened him down. You got two of these ears and one of these mouths,
Mm.
and it's a powerful thing. So they call it in the mouse house of listening.
In the mouse
You can
house of listening.
So if someone is emotionally revved up, if they're very polar, the logic's not going to work. But their philosophy, when they crystallize their philosophy, and I'm doing a mediation tomorrow, a fairly high-powered one, and I'll say, okay, we're going to try and sort out your differences today. What's the cost of us not doing so? So you're not introducing anything from your side,
Mm.
but they are going to think beyond their own boundaries.
Mm.
So there's lots of little techniques. What will convince you? Can you articulate what they think? What do you guess they're coming? Where do you guess they're coming from? All sorts of things. These wonderful methods which promote empathy, respect, human connection, bit of warmth, bit of safety, as you say. And then we can get, and if you not getting offended, you not getting angry, you not triggering,
Mm.
and when you've got proof of I'm not violent, I'm not triggered, I'm not reactive, then the courage continues to grow, and we get something of value. We get something of value.
Mm. So what we're really talking about is emotional intelligence, isn't it?
Yes, 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 yes,
Yes,
yes.
I absolutely love it. Matthew Hill is my guest on this episode of the Work Positive Podcast. Learn how to lead, believe, behave, and become is the name of his book. The link is to Amazon. You can go get yourself a copy. As I mentioned a moment ago, his LinkedIn profile URL is there. And then also your website is presentation-skills.uk, which is in the show notes. Tell us what we'll find when we go to presentation-skills.uk, Matthew.
Well, one, Joey, not everyone will find it. There's the complex nature of that phrase is to keep out people who are unworthy. I
So
am
only the more
joking.
intelligent of Work Positive Nation will be able to go to presentation-skills.uk. For the rest of you,
We
we put the link in the show notes. All you have to do is click
just
it,
look at
right?
it. Don't click on it. Just look at it. I go, wow, that's so complicated. Very good, very good.
You
So
paid
there are
extra for the
blogs,
complication, right? Yeah.
there are film clips of others not as good. The podcast not as good as this one, but other podcasts as well. Blogs, various links. I will recycle. I do a lot of training, facilitation, webinars, and other things. I write many, many books, and I will pick up stories. So I will often do that. One of my last blogs is I don't want to change your mind. That wasn't true, but it was a good title. And it was almost what we've talked about today.
Uh,
And so you can find out about resilience. You can find out about the Socratic method, about presenting with more comfort and a lot more impact. These wonderful topics. It's all applied. It's all to fill up the new manager, the board executive, with a skill which they can apply that day. That's the idea.
Speaking of skills we can apply that day, Work Positive Nation always wants to know from my guest, Matthew Hill, about their one thing. So, Matthew Hill, what is your one thing that you would advise Work Positive Nation to do starting today to create the kind of positive work culture that we've talked about in this episode?
It's sort of summary, really. It's not about you, it's about the audience. Trust the people you work with, listen to the people you work with, take them seriously. What does someone say? Pay what he asks and do what he says.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Think less about myself, not less of myself, right?
Oh, nice. Nice.
I love, well,
Nice.
that's C.S. Lewis.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't, 10 people didn't say that so that I
I
could
was gonna put
plagiarize
that on
them.
you, Joey, but thank you for confessing.
Well,
Very
you
good.
could, but I'm not British, so
Or
I'm not here to lie to you and make you think it's the truth. So, yeah.
hey, there you go. Okay, here we go. Quick one. Interculturally, the UK is so difficult because people, you following up on your comment, people don't say what they mean, they don't mean what they say. It is so confusing. It is so confusing.
Yeah, it's passive aggressive at times. It seems like, well, if you say yes and I mean no, and I'm like, okay, but I said yes, do they mean yes? But that's the
No, the
conundrum in which we
best one. An American knocked on my door, and we had a mutual cousin or whatever it was from Canada. They said they said you'd love to see me. Just total stranger. Sunday, just before the meal, and I had to lie a lot. So they got a good meal, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't telling the truth that day.
Matthew Hill has been my guest on this episode of the Work Positive Podcast. Presentation-skills.uk is in the show notes. Please go there and click it regardless of your IQ and go over and look at Matthew's site because you're going to be enchanted with everything that's there. Matthew, I'm better for this conversation today. My serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins are just racing through my brain right now. So thank you, my friend, for the laughs and for the key and vital information that you've given us today, most of which I assume was the truth. So thank you, Matthew Hill, for being with us today.
Thank you, Joe. Fabulous show.
I'm so grateful you joined our conversation about creating positive work cultures that grow people and profits. Connect with me directly on LinkedIn today. Just search for Dr. Joey Fawcett, or you can click the link in your show notes. When you send your connection request, mention you're a Work Positive Podcast listener because I want to give you a free digital copy of my Work Positive Team Edition book. It's a $19.95 value, but I want to share it with you free because it contains practical strategies that I personally use with clients to transform toxic work environments into thriving cultures. We explore in that book how to create a positive work culture, and we do so again in every episode of this podcast. Our LinkedIn connection allows you and me to directly talk about your specific challenges, so feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn. I personally read and respond to all those messages because I genuinely care about your work positive success. So go to LinkedIn and let's connect. Remember to mention you're a podcast listener to receive your free Work Positive Team Edition book. I look forward to seeing you on our next episode of the Work Positive Podcast.